Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. One click makes sure you never miss hidden treasures or rare coins sitting quietly in your drawer, just waiting to change your life. Now, picture this. A dusty drawer, an old box of forgotten change. Inside, among the usual copper and silver, lies a small, dull brown coin. It's not flashy. It doesn't shine. But it's old. And it has a story. 1 cent 1980. South Africa. If you've seen it, you might have tossed it aside without a second thought. But what if that tiny coin, yes, that one, holds the kind of value that could turn your quiet retirement into a legacy worth talking about? Let's go back for a moment. The year is 1980. The world is shifting. Tensions, politics, breakthroughs in technology. But in the southern tip of Africa, something else is quietly being pressed into metal. A small copper-plated coin is minted, its design unchanged, yet somehow destined to become something greater. The South African 1 cent. A simple coin. No one would have guessed its future. This coin carried the portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, a name that echoes through South African history like a drumbeat. His image was printed on this humble denomination during a time when the country stood at a crossroads, politically, socially, and economically. That was more than just a piece of currency. It was a snapshot of an era. Now, imagine the number of these coins minted back then. Millions, poured into circulation, used for sweets, bus fares, forgotten in wallets. But out of all those coins, only a tiny fraction would survive the next 40 years in pristine condition, and even fewer would carry the secret that makes collectors' hearts race. An error, a variant, a minting difference so rare, it turns that coin into a golden ticket. Most people think coins gain value because they're old. But it's not just age. It's scarcity, rarity, a tiny change, a misprint, a flaw, the kinds of things most people never notice. A small difference in metal, a shift in alignment, a design that never made it to mass production but somehow escaped the mint. That's when a coin stops being just a coin. It becomes a legend. Now, let's talk about the kind of man who finds a coin like this. Maybe he's a collector, sure, but more often, he's just like you. A man who's lived a life, raised a family, worked with his hands, seen the world change around him. Maybe he's got a box of old coins from his father. Maybe he held on to them for no reason at all. Sentimental, forgotten, but still there. And when that man finds out what he's holding, that moment, that realization, that everything he thought was ordinary is, in fact, extraordinary. That's what makes these stories worth telling. You see, collectors today aren't just looking for perfect gold bars and shiny rare gems. They're chasing history. Real history, coins that tell stories of countries, leaders, and turning points in time. And the 1980 South African 1 cent does exactly that. A time capsule from a complex and powerful nation sitting in your palm. The right coin, in the right condition, in the hands of the right buyer, can command a price that sounds impossible. A price most people associate with luxury cars or beachfront homes. But it's not a dream. It's the reality of numismatics, the world of rare coin collecting. And for those who say it's just a coin, think about this. When gold was discovered in South Africa, people came from all over the world, not for the land, not for the culture, but for the promise of wealth beneath their feet. That hunger for something valuable, that search for something rare, still lives on today. Only now, it might not be in the soil. It might be in a shoebox under your bed. You don't need to be a professional to recognize potential. You just need a sharp eye, a little patience, and a willingness to look at what's already yours with new understanding. Because sometimes, the past gives us a second chance. A moment to rediscover something we overlooked. A coin that everyone ignored, except a few. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your old coins? That drawer in the garage, that container in the attic, that dusty jar of change from a time before cell phones and the internet. It's all still there, waiting. You might be sitting on history without even knowing it. And here's the part you've been waiting for. Among all the South African coins minted in 1980, a few were struck in an exceptionally rare pattern. never released to the public. Those coins, if preserved in mint state condition, are not just rare, they're priceless to collectors. One of these coins, a 1981 cent from South Africa, recently made headlines across the numismatic world. It was authenticated, graded, and auctioned for a price that left jaws on the floor. $3 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single coin, 1 cent, minted in 1980, sold for $3 million. So before you walk past that old jar of coins again, take another look. You never know what you might find. And if you do find that coin, remember, you're not just holding money. You're holding history, a legacy, and maybe, just maybe, your future. Before we begin, take a second to hit that subscribe button. If you're passionate about rare coins, forgotten treasures, or simply want to know if something sitting in your drawer could change your life, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Imagine holding history in your hand. Not just metal, not just copper, real history. A single coin, no bigger than your thumbnail, yet carrying the story of an entire nation. We're not talking about gold or silver, not diamonds, just 1 cent. But not just any cent. The South African 1 cent coin from 1965. Now you might be thinking, 1 cent? Really? What's so special about a coin that barely bought you a toffee back in the day? That's where the magic begins. Let's take a step back. It's 1965. South Africa is in the midst of deep political and social change. The old world is slipping away. The new is still uncertain. And in that year, a tiny coin was struck, a coin most people overlooked, tossed aside, lost in couch cushions and pockets. But not all of them disappeared. A few survived. And today, the right one could be worth more than your house, your car, and everything in your garage combined. This isn't just a story about money. It's about discovery, about realizing that something you thought was worthless could actually be priceless. And if you're a collector, or just someone who's held on to a few coins over the years, you might want to go digging after this. The 1965 South African 1 center coin was part of the pre-decimal currency system. Made from bronze, it featured Jan van Riebeek's profile on the front, a symbol of Dutch settlement at the Cape. On the reverse, a small pair of sparrows perched delicately on a branch. Beautiful, simple, humble. But behind that humble design lies something incredibly rare. You see, most of these coins were minted for everyday use. Millions of them, circulating across the country, exchanging hands in busy markets and sleepy towns. But, and this is where things get interesting, a very limited number were struck with flawless detail. Some with minor variations, some in proof condition, some never meant to be released to the public at all. That's where collectors start paying serious attention. What makes a coin like this go from being pocket change to being auctioned for a fortune? Rarity, condition, and story. It's the perfect combination. If a coin was minted in low numbers, kept in pristine condition, and connected to a historical moment, it becomes more than currency. It becomes art. It becomes a relic. And that's when collectors open their wallets. Now, if you're from the generation that grew up in the 50s or 60s, think about how many times you saw this coin. Maybe you were given it as change when buying a Coke. Maybe it lay in your dad's drawer, forgotten, under keys and receipts. And maybe, just maybe, you still have one lying around somewhere. Untouched, unspoiled, waiting. There's something about coins that connects us to time. They pass through so many hands, carry so many untold stories. A coin from 1965 has seen decades roll by. And yet, it still holds value. Not just monetary, but emotional, historical, and cultural. It's a piece of who we were. Let's be honest. Most of us don't look twice at coins anymore. We tap cards, swipe phones. Paper money is fading. But the old coins, the solid ones, the ones with character, they're not fading. They're rising. Especially when the market gets flooded with digital currency, people start longing for something real, tangible, honest. And that's where old coins come roaring back. Now here's what sets this particular coin apart. In rare cases, the 1965 1 cent was struck in what's called proof condition. These weren't meant for general circulation. They were struck with special care, using polished dies and selected planchets. They have sharper detail, richer color, and a mirror-like finish. Only a few of these were ever made, and fewer still have survived the decades in untouched condition. And then, there are the error coins. Variants with misalignments, double dies, or odd mint marks. These mistakes turn a common coin into a jackpot. Collectors love imperfections, especially the kind that make a coin 1 in 1 million. Or, in this case, $1 in $2 million. Yes, you heard right. There's documented buzz in the collecting world of a 1965 South African one-center coin. Proof quality, flawless surface, perfect strike, and tied to a limited series, being valued at $2 million, not rand. Dollars. This isn't hype. This is the real market. Wealthy collectors, international buyers, historic museums, they're all on the hunt for coins like this. The competition is fierce, and the numbers are climbing fast. Now ask yourself this. Have you checked your old coins lately? Not just glanced at them. Really looked. Pulled out the magnifying glass. Looked for wear, edge detail, die marks, the alignment. It takes time. But that time could change everything. So what should you be looking for? You want sharp details, especially in the feathers of the birds and the lines of Van Riebeek's collar. No scratches, no corrosion. You're looking for a shine, almost like it was made yesterday. Flip it and check for centering, rim quality, and any unusual marks. The tiniest variation can make a world of difference. That if you find one like that, don't rush to sell it. Get it graded, certified, authenticated. Because once you have that proof, you hold power. Power that grows with time. There's a saying among collectors: coins never sleep. Even while they sit in drawers or safes, their value climbs. Quietly, patiently, until one day, someone realizes what they've got, and the world takes notice. So here's your challenge. Go check. Look in your old tins. Your grandfather's box. That old suitcase in the attic. The forgotten drawer in the garage. If you've got a 1965 1-cent coin from South Africa in mint or proof condition, you could be holding something extraordinary. $2 million. That's not just a number. That's a house, a legacy, a future for your family. All from one coin. Still think it's just copper? Thanks for watching. If this opened your eyes, if you're already searching your drawers, don't forget to subscribe. We've got more stories coming, more hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Your coin could be next.